let's just live outrageous lives. Let's just stop playing normal. It's why you're doing a show like this called Rock Everything. And that's why I am now speaking on stages globally around, everywhere I can, because I have a different perspective. I know that. And maybe because I've witnessed so much or survived so much, or who knows, and I don't really care. All I know is if you're listening to this, it's now your time. If you're lucky enough to be within the sound of my voice, you're in exactly where you're supposed to be at this moment.
So welcome to Rock Your Money, Rock Your Life. Forbes Riley is my special guest. And I'll tell you what, if there's anybody that has rocked money and certainly brought a lot of value in the marketplace, it is Forbes. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, my friend. Nice to see you. Last time I saw you, I was sitting across the dinner table with you. I like this, though. This is good.
Yeah, I know. And you have just come back from 8 weeks out of town. You've got, I'm sure, some new distinctions. But I want to take people back to I visited your studio and you took me on a tour of all the people that you've met. And I think that a lot of people probably don't know the storied life you've had when it comes to meeting a lot of really cool people. And I did a little talk this morning on, are you bold or are you timid? When we went to dinner, you spoke to basically everybody in the vicinity because you have that bold character, right? You meet people and that's paid off in dividends for you in your life. So let's talk about a little bit where that came from and take us on a bit of a journey from, where you are today and some of the eclectic people you've spent time with.
Okay, that's a very interestingly complicated question. Well, the most important person I know right now is you, Mr. Rock Thomas. And then, of course, next week, I guess we get to rock a stage with Deepak Chopra, Les Brown, Jack Canfield. I've rocked the stage with Tony Robbins, Gary Vee. I haven't done Oprah. She's the only one I have not met yet. It's on my list. I'm gunning for you, my girl. I grew up as an ugly little awkward girl on Long Island. I had a broken nose. I got hit with a baseball bat when I was a kid. So for about 8 years, I had an odd shaped nose and I had a very weird palate. And so I had braces for 8 years and a tongue obstruction for 2 years. So I didn't actually talk at all. I wasn't timid. I was always like this, but I was stuck in a shell that would not allow me to express myself. And I think that's one of the impetuses. I believe that life happens for you, not to you. And so I take everything good, bad, and indifferent, and I elevate that to be, how does it work for me? I did not have, and the other thing that was interesting about me is that I didn't grow up with any friends. Because I was so awkwardly looking and I was very smart in school, I was the kid that nobody noticed in the very, very back. But in my head, I wanted to be the cute, pretty one, the popular one. I can even remember the name of the two cutest girls in my grade. They were in first grade, Bonnie Garrett and Susan Warshak. It was frustrating as all get out. They were really tiny and I was overweight and I was frizzy hair and it was just like, oh my God.
What?
Oh, no, that's my whole story is about fitness and weight because my mom was 260 pounds my whole life. And you've never seen photos of me. I have to share something with you because it was a very painful childhood. And then my dad, when I was 14 years old, got his hand caught in a printing press and he ripped off the whole front of his hand, spent 3 years, let's get this right, my high school, in a hospital bed. He had 15 different operations. And this crazy journey of this ugly, awkward caterpillar turning into a butterfly is exactly my story. Because when it came time to graduate, my mom said, we've depleted all of our savings. You have no scholarships. We can't get you to college. And that's all that I wanted to do as a smart kid. It's like, this really sucks. And she turned to me and said, well, there's this pageant. And I'm like, Mom, she's like, yeah, I know. Like, really? Let's all confirm how ugly I am. And it was the Miss Teenage America pageant on NBC with Bob Hope. Now, this is the beginning of my philosophy, Rock. The dream it, believe it, and achieve it. So dreaming it is you think about something a lot. So the believe part is you talk about it with people. And then the achieve is you actually structurally go get it. Well, when you start talking your dreams out loud, and this goes for everybody listening, however weird they are, that's the only way for other people to know what you're up to. And you'd be surprised how the other people and the universe conspire to make your dreams come true. And if you've never experienced this, that's really sad because odds are you don't believe in it, right? Well, here's my thought. I don't believe in gravity. Doesn't much matter. It works whether I believe in it or not. Manifesting works whether you choose to believe in it or not. I would come hang out with me because I've led a magnificently crazy life. I mean, you talk about all the people that I've met. I mean, at 16, I'm on TV with Bob Hope on NBC, and I'm standing right over his shoulder the entire broadcast. And I've gone on to meet everybody from Kim Kardashian to Bill Clinton to you name them, I know them. And I've worked with them on infomercials. like George Foreman and Billy Mays and Anthony Sullivan and Tony Little. I can go down the list, right? So, but there I am, this very first time, and my dad's doctor overheard this conversation. And he said to my mom, we can fix her nose. Like, it was oddly broken and couldn't breathe right. And so he fixed my nose and the braces came off. And all of a sudden, I went from a very physically awkward looking girl to somebody who was kind of cute. And I don't think I knew how cute I was, but I didn't. I didn't have braces. I'm like this. Farrah Fawcett had just come out like, see, guys, I have a smile. I can smile. And it's when you can't smile for 8 years, it's like, wow. And so now I look a little cute. We had no money. I borrowed a hand-me-down bridesmaid's dress. And I walked into this first meeting. There were 500 girls in this big auditorium. And I'm holding my dad's good hand. And I actually said, one of these girls is going to be on TV with Bob Hope. It's going to be me. Now, that's only a good story because 3 weeks later, after lots of auditions and tap dancing and doing all the crazy things, it turned out to be me. And I have a picture of me standing in the mall winning this as they announced my name. But I also have the moment before. And if you've ever watched a race, like a bunch of people running, like Olympic race, they always scan their faces. I'm going to tell you something. Do this next time you see this. You can almost tell by the person's expression who's already won the race. And then you watch them run it. So I always believe, my dad was a magician and I grew up doing magic tricks, that you have to begin with the end in mind. I wanted something very clearly and I had a really good why, and then I won. So all I can tell you is that was the first time it actually worked. And then I've done that over and over and over again. And I've got the most, I don't even know what the word timid means. That's a ridiculous word. And people go, Forbes, you're a little out of the box. You know what I say, Rock? I don't even know where the box is.
Yeah, I would agree with that. By the way, you've shared so many things, but I want to cut right to the core of this because there's so many people that want to live this epic life, but they don't, that second part that you talk about, believe in themselves. So they're going to do something and they have doubt. You have boldly done things. What is the difference for you between, are we born with this innate passion, desire, drive, or did you respond to your environment and go, I don't want to be the ugly duckling. I want to stand out. I want to hear that inner narrative because so many people go, I can't be Forbes Riley. I can't be Michael Jordan.
Well, guess what? No, you can't. You can't be Forbes Riley. You can't be Michael Jordan. You can't be anybody other than you. That's a stupid narrative. Okay. Let's get real about this. People, you guys, here's what happens. We're all born the same way. Let's not pretend that he's born an entrepreneur, but we all go to school. And that's where you get messed up. In school, remember this? Can you go to the bathroom? Can I ask a question? You have to ask permission. Do you know that you're asking permission and denied permission thousands of times before you're a teenager? Thousands. And you're pretty much told you can't do things. You can't go out if you want. And by the way, some of them are good for you. You can't pull a bookcase down on your head when you're 2 years old. You can't put your hand in fire, but you're told all these permissions. And that is the way a society keeps people in line. Well, because I was so odd, I missed the memo about permissions. I just didn't. I went to my first grade teacher's wedding. I was 6 years old, invited to a wedding. I was doing linguistics with my elementary school professor, Mr. Kilroy, when I was 7 years old. And I built a computer with my dad when I was 8 years old with a full-on schematic and had to stand there and lie to everybody about how I did all of this. I had these transformers turned it on and there was a magnet in my ring. And that's how we got the magnetic relays and the silicon strip. You're like, you're 8? So I didn't get the memo. And that really helped. So I just dreamed. I watched TV. Now, we all have the same energy to do this, but some people have a couple of skills. Like if you can hit a baseball really good, you're getting $10 million, you're going to the major leagues. If you can play piano, you're doing concerts. My ability, I wanted to be an actress. And I wanted it. I just really, really, really wanted it. I wanted to stand on stage at the Academy Awards and hang out with cute people like John Travolta and Sean Connery. And it's what I wanted. And I also wanted very clearly to be James Bond. Now, what if it were true, Rob, that the only thing that's real is that if you want it, you will get it. But you got to stop doubting it because you don't take a boat out in the ocean and go, I hope I get where I'm going. The pilot doesn't get into a plane with 300 people behind him, a massive thing that looks ridiculous that should never get off the ground. It's the size of a building and go, God, I hope we get to New York. They don't do that. They have a plan. They practice. They have a skill. They get in the cockpit. They do what they're supposed to do and they get there. And that's what people don't seem to understand. So it's not mythical, it's methodical. And I have to now write that down because that was really good.
Yeah, I'm going to get that one too.
Yeah, really. But I'm making this up as I go along. That's
I know,
funny.
but you're in flow. You're in flow.
Well, but that's how I am right now, Ron. I'll tell you what, I unleashed something and now I'm speaking at the highest levels because I've always had this inside of me. And do you play small? Yeah, shame on you. You know what? I didn't believe that I was enough. I didn't believe I was pretty. I was right. But you are the determiner. You're the pilot in you're the pilot in your plane. Okay. Yep. You get on. And number one, if you don't have training, go get training. You're not flying. I'm a pilot. I've been flying planes since I was 15 years old. Okay. Very easy to take. Yeah. Very easy to take off and land a little plane, but I'm not going to do it. There are lots of people behind me. Right. You got to study and train. And entrepreneurs are like, I just want to be in business. I'm a coach. Really? You took one life coaching class and you're a coach? No, you're not. You're a baby coach. And if you're under the age of 40, call me when you get a life before you decide to be a life coach. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not sure what that's all about, but any real profession, any real craft, you study. And the reason that I'm good on stage and I can rock 10, 20, 30,000 people in an auditorium, you know why? I'm an actress. I've studied improv and body and motion and movement and crawled on the floor like an animal and barked like a dog and did all the things you do as an actress. So I understand my voice. And if I want to change my accent, I can do that anytime I want because it's my bag of tricks, right? And so that's part of what I do. So you get people going, I want to be a speaker. Well, okay, what have you done? I took a speaking class. Well, okay, that's not really it. Right. And they used to talk about 10,000 hours make you an expert. Well, I'm an expert times 100. I'm 61 years old. So you're never going to be me. And let's go back. You know, I did get almost everything I wanted. Actually, scratch that. I got everything I wanted. And how do I know that? Because I'm at an age where I got it. I have two beautiful kids. I gave birth to twins. They were healthy. They came out at 7 pounds each. I pushed them out. That was one of the things I wanted. I've got a pilot's license. I've starred in movies and television, and I get to hang out with the cutest man on the planet and get married to him next. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I can want more, and you always want more. I play a game called What Do You Want? And I push people. You know, I've gotten to a point now, Rock, where you not only can't be me, you do not want to be me, because if you want the highs in life, you got to get the lows in life. And so I've been at the lowest, almost at the lowest of low. I don't want to go any lower. I'm pretty good. But the death of both my parents at 70 from cancer, the murder of a little boy that I raised for 12 years. So I don't think that any of you have that in your wheelhouse, right? My wedding photo, because he was best man at my wedding, was on the cover of the LA Times. That's got to really suck. I went to a murder trial of a boy that I raised, and there's a guy in jail for 52 years to life that I'm going to make sure he stays there. That's a crappy call to get every once in a while. His family wants him out. And yeah, you know, he can get out when Dexter comes back. That's an interesting thing. 3 years ago, Joshua and I with the Mandalay Bay, I was all excited. I'm hanging out with Grant Cardone and Kevin Harrington. Minutes after that, they all go downstairs to play poker. I go outside to take a picture with Joshua. And on my iPhone, we're eyewitness to the worst massacre shooting in the history of this country. I physically watched it as the guy below me killed the people at the concert below me, was in lockdown for 11 hours. I almost died from that PTSD. So if you're going to go that low, let me tell you something. I'm grateful that I've experienced what I have because I'm a good communicator. I mean, I was all over the news for the next 2 weeks, from CBS News to Piers Morgan and Good Morning America, Good Morning Britain, Good Morning Japan. And you kind of come to realize at some point, as Les Brown said, the two greatest days in your life, the day you're born and the day you figure out why you were born. Now, here's the thing. In your 20s, knock it off already, will you? Do you know what I did you want to be Forbes Riley? You know what I did? I went to work at Club Med all around the world. I scuba dived and water skied because I go back to, I want to be James Bond. And that was my entire business plan. I was going to jump out of planes and scuba dive and snow ski, and I had no money and no idea how. The difference between me and most of you is that I never say this phrase. And if you say this phrase around me, I make you give my charity $10. Stop saying, I don't know. I don't really care what you know and you don't know. And the universe doesn't care. I'm going to get to New York. I'm in LA. How do you get there? Don't say it. Just go, okay, I could go by land. I could go by sea. I could swim around the North Pole. But if you don't say, I don't know, you're left with what options and what can I create? And so if you're a creator, you start with a blank piece of paper and go, what do we do now? The second thing that makes me very unique, and I know this, is that I'm a magician. My dad and we do magic tricks. I can make things disappear and appear, and I can make anybody anywhere go, oh my God, that's amazing. Well, it's not amazing. It's a trick. Why did you say it was amazing? So I'm a study of human psychology and how humans behave and what makes them want to do things, what makes them want to take out a credit card, what makes them want to engage. Then I studied NLP and I studied hypnosis, remember? So are you born or you're made? Doesn't really matter. Do the work if you want the result. If I want to be a professional athlete like Joshua, who's going for Mr. Olympia, 2 hours a day in the gym, and everyone says, I want to look like you. And I'm like, no, you don't want to look like him. He works so freaking hard that you would collapse. He's a vegetarian eating Brussels sprouts and rice and 2 hours every day in the gym. You do not want to be him, and you will not look like him because of that. So you have to get aligned with what is it you do want. I became best friends with Les Brown. You know why? Because I wanted it. I wanted to be the most amazing female speaker on the planet. If you're going to do that, you got to hang out with the world's greatest male speakers, because there was no female amazing speakers to even use as a role model. So that's just a little bit of an interesting path. Yes?
Yes. And a great answer to a question. So that being said, let's ask the question behind the question, which is, how does each person become the best version of themselves when most people believe their doubts?
Well, what is the when part? Stop believing. Okay, number one, stop believing you're not great. We are told when we're younger, she's so conceited. She thinks she's special. Well, but you are. So number one, and I have a little permission card. You should guys go get it. It's a steel card that says, I hereby grant you permission to believe anything you want. In fact, here, want to believe? Okay. Now, everybody who watches me is going to believe in their heart that they are special. They were born for greatness. Poof, there's your power. I'm the Wizard of Oz. Oh, wait, there is no Wizard of Oz. Because when Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Tin Man went to get a heart and a brain and to go home, oh, great wizard, help me. What was the wizard? He was a little con artist. He was a little carnival barker behind a curtain. There's no wizard unless you believe there is. So he then said you had it inside you all the time. So I'm going to start with that. You've got whatever it is that you need. Now, how do I know this? Because some people, the weirder and more awkward it is. I have a gentleman who had his arms and legs amputated. He's a major motivational speaker. I've got Candy. She's 3'4" tall. She's living her path. And I've got a woman, you don't want to be her either, who's got a tumor on one half of her face, who's now modeling. So if we're all special in our own unique way, number one, you got to look in the mirror and go, this is it. This is as good as it gets. This is my nose, my eyes. You can change a couple of things. You can change this if you want, maybe fix your teeth. But short of that, you're not changing your height. You can change your weight. And so there's a little bit of self-acceptance. Look in the mirror and go, you know what? I'm enough. I'm not pretty enough or thin enough or rich enough or famous enough, but I'm never going to be. So I guess today must be as good as it's going to get. And that little self-acceptance is available to everybody, and it's free. So stop doing like I did and look at the cover of the magazine going, God, they're like 5'10" tall. They have perfect skin. No, Photoshop stretched them out and made their skin perfect. I am as perfect as I'm ever going to get. What I can change is my belief system. And the thing about a belief, that little in the middle, Liebe, it's a lie. Tell yourself a different lie. I've had people actually because I deal with a lot of people who've been raped, molested, hurt. I do a breakthrough training that is second to none. I give a complete 100% money back guarantee. I guarantee I will be way more effective than any therapy you have ever been to. It's a pretty bold statement, but I've had thousands of people go through my course, and that's what everybody seems to say. So now I'm going to start saying it. And that's available to you. Because one, if you start out as great, whatever it is, whoever you are, it starts out with your belief. The second you give that belief over to somebody else, you lose. So if you want to cheerlead like me going, you're great, you're great. Now the next thing is you got to look in your closet. You can't lie about who you really are and how you feel about yourself. You can't be Forbes Riley right now and go, I feel amazingly fantastic. I haven't always felt this way, but you can look in my closet and I cleaned out all the skeletons. See, I was not this person yesterday. Maybe I was, but like I said, I'm 61 years old. First 30, 40 years of my life, I was like most people, not thinking I was enough or who am I or blah, 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 all that other bullshit. But then I did something one day. See, I like to be very neat, but I'm not. So my parents would come over to my apartment. I would put all the stuff in the closet and I close the door and the house looked great. And then come over again and I have to do the same thing. And then I would forget it was there and I just stuff the closet full of stuff. This is your emotional bullshit meter. You keep stuffing it back going, oh, no one's going to see that, that I was raped and I have no self-esteem or I don't want to do this or I failed school, whatever it is you keep putting back there, it shows up on your face and you don't realize it, right? And I know this because in breakthrough training, you literally go, people's faces change. They look younger, thinner, fitter, happier. It's the craziest thing. So this theory is no longer theory. I've proved this over and over again. So my advice to you, whether it's with me or anyone else, is turn around and go, I'm going to clean out that closet. That emotional closet, that time that husband, that narcissistic man told me that I'm going to clean all that out. And if you have to, I have techniques. I literally have a technique where you can completely change your mother, your father, because your brain, and Mark, this is important to know, memories aren't real. You and I both remember having dinner together, but we had a very different experience of that same moment, right? I mean, I can remember getting up and doing a little spins with one of the guys nearby, and you can remember however you interpreted all that. But neither one of them are right. It's just your interpretation of it. And then when you're in a heated moment, like when you were younger and somebody put you down and you look fat in that, and for the rest of your life, like, I look fat in whatever it is I'm wearing, you keep that. And so one of the things that I do is you fire up these neurons in your head and you can clean them out and you feel better. And it's a very specific technique. Okay, so if you do that and at least start from a clean slate, then you have work to do. Then you get to ask yourself, what do you want? So, and Rock and I play this game all the time. Play with me for a second. What do you want?
I want to be able to travel again because COVID's locked things down.
Well, that's not true. I just spent 8 weeks in Costa Rica going to Dubai. So that's a limiting belief. It hasn't locked it down unless you believe it has. Trust me on this one. I've been traveling since day one. I know that's weird, but because everyone else believed it, you're like, how's that possible? I know it doesn't matter. I am. Okay. It's my second trip to Costa Rica. Okay. And my kids went to El Salvador to go surfing, my 18-year-old. So it's not locked down. Interesting. What do you want?
Well, there is lockdown in Canada, but that's another conversation.
I know.
Okay. What do I want? I want to impact, let's say, more people that are suffering from low self-esteem.
That's the biggest problem, what you just said. Everybody listen to this really carefully. If you vaguely tell the universe what you want, it's like telling Grubhub that you're hungry. Hey, man, what do you want? I just want some food. I'm hungry. Yeah, what do you want? Well, I don't want a hamburger. That's nice. What do you want? I don't want Chinese. That's what you're telling the universe. You actually said the word more. I don't know what more means. Hey, Rock, you want more money? Do you?
So be specific. I get it.
Here's $1. Now you have more money, but that's not what you wanted.
Tony Robbins, I get it.
You know what? And I guess that it's nice that Tony's gotten to that stage, but the truth is specificity wins. Why would you want to play small ever? What do you want?
Because people are afraid of failure.
No, but bullshit. You know what? What is being afraid? Really? I'm afraid I'm smacking myself in the face. I'm afraid of snakes. Afraid of failure? Dude, the best lessons I've ever gotten were when I failed. I jump off cliffs. I did that yesterday. I actually jumped off a cliff. I hopefully had the right harnesses and everything and a little exciting, but I was not afraid because the guys seem to know what they're doing. And then I ziplined head first right over Costa Rica. What are you afraid of?
Were you not afraid, or did you overcome your fear?
Not afraid at all. Afraid of what? Afraid of what?
So you had zero fear. You had zero fear.
I had zero fear. Fear was not even like an.
Why did you do it then?
Oh, because have you ever flown headfirst at 100 miles an hour? You feel like Superman. I mean, literally, I at no point do I go, oh my God, I'm like 500 feet over the ground. If it breaks, I'm going to die. I'm like, this is what a bird feels like. It's what an eagle feels like. And I'm videotaping and I'm going, there was absolutely, now that you ask me, zero freaking fear at all. I kissed a cheetah in the wild. Okay. I literally have a picture. Now, this is one of those where you're like, Forbes, this was weird. I was traveling in Africa. A friend of mine has a giant game reserve, and she said, yeah, go out with my guard, the guy with a gun, and I've got some cheetahs out there, and blah, blah, blah. And we get to the very top of this hill, and we walk into this cage, and there's 2 cheetahs there. And the guy doesn't speak English, he only speaks Swahili. Now, this is a weird moment. They looked amazing. I don't know the last time they ate. And I had my camera on my neck, and my ex-husband had his little camera with us, and I went over 2 cheetahs. Like, if you want to be attacked, and I went over and I petted the cheetah, and I had a moment with the cheetah. And then you see a picture of the other one behind me. And there was a moment where the cat swiped my camera, like just kind of played. And I was like, oh, I should, you're a big kid. I'm going to leave now because I don't know quite why I just did that. So no, I don't have fear of that. I get excited by things. But so actually, Rock, play with me for a second because your audience is you at the moment. What is fear?
Well, for me, fear is an illusion because it all happens in the future. So
okay, so but you keep talking about
what you don't want to have happen.
Well, why? I don't have enough time in my brain to do that. I'm too busy thinking of other thoughts.
Yeah, well, you've trained yourself that way. Most people haven't.
Why not?
What's worry?
But I have no idea. What are you worried about?
No.
Live in the present. Live now.
Right.
But it seems like you've talked to a lot of very negative people. They should come to my training.
There's a lot of negative people out there. Forbes, as you know, about 85% of the population live 85% of the time in a negative conversation.
Well, I don't know that, you know what, an 85% and 100% of the time I avoid the 85%.
Well, then you
I
must
don't have any patience. I don't have any patience for it. I got to tell you, you know what? I'm going to take you down a journey. You want to talk about craziness and how bold and outrageous? And the truth is, I've always been this way. The world just didn't know me. For 18 years, I played a little smaller because I had 2 children to raise, and I have visions, and I just have visions. I have an idea of what I want to do, and I go do it. Attack the plan and plan the attack. One, I've lived my life a lot like James Bond because I said so. I mean, I got a URL pass and I started my first movie called Splatter University many years ago in my 20s. I got a backpack and my camera. I said to my mom, I've got a book here called Europe on $20 a day. I want to see every place, tear out the pages, and come home when I have the cover. Most people go on a week's vacation. I was going on an adventure. And my mom said, why are you doing that? I said, because I have a vision when I'm 83 years old, Mom, that I'm going to be talking to all these kids and grandkids about the most amazing life ever. And right now I have nothing to talk about.